Dr. Ikhajiagbe is online. May I confirm that good morning, Prof. May I confirm that
good morning.
Dr. Wadzani with us, please?
Yeah, I'm on the call. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We have 10 people. I think here I'll be sending reminders on the platform to say that this meeting has started. Is starting anytime from now because we only have 10 people.
Okay.
I think we should go on because other people have other responsibilities. People should learn to keep to time.
Exactly. Okay. With the permission of the Prof, I would like to begin this webinar meeting for today. I would like to invite Dr. Wadzani Dauda to introduce the AfriScience network as usual. Hello, Stanley. Can you please off your mic, and you can off your mic and your video, please.
Okay, sir.
You need to mute your mic. Okay, thank you very much. Over to you.
Right.
So Wadzani.
All right. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished professors, faculties, respected scholars, welcome once again to the AfriScience Network. The AfriScience Network, it's a very renowned network which comprises of academic faculties, researchers across various parts of the world who are deeply entrenched in facilitating collaborative research. And so having membership of over 6,000 African science researchers, scientists, industry professionals, the core mission of the AfriScience Network is to promote collaborations, of course, sharing innovative ideas and driving scientific and technological advancement across the continent of Africa. And so welcome every one of us here today for this exciting webinar. And today we have an amazing guest with us, a distinguished professor here with us. And I'll be having the singular honor to welcome Dr. Aminu for the formal reading of the citation of our distinguished professor and guest speaker. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wadzani, for that nice introduction of the AfriScience Network. Without wasting much time, I will go ahead and read the citation of Professor Beckley Ikhajiagbe. Dr. Ikhajiagbe is a faculty member at the Department of Plant Biology and Biotechnology, Faculty of Life Sciences, University of Benin, Benin City, Nigeria, where as a professor of ecophysiology and environmental biotechnology, with more than 2 decades of experience in research and teaching, he contributes his quota to national development through teaching, research, and community service. Apart from this course of undergraduate students, he has supervised as well as mentees. Dr. Ikhajiagbe has supervised over 60 postgraduate candidates, more than half of whom are PhD and MPhil candidates. With the support of the International Association for the Exchange of Students for Technical Experience, he has also successfully hosted international exchange students from several European universities on internship programs in his laboratory at the University of Benin. Professor Ikhajiagbe has won numerous scientific awards and research grants from major organizations and has also received a number of commendations from major governmental and non-governmental agencies. He is the PI of TR5D, a team of researchers with no borders drawn from tertiary institutions in Africa, the Americas, and Europe. He is also a member of the board of trustees of Al-Kebulan Society for Environmental Sustainability, and a pioneer member of the Society for Underutilized Legumes, where he serves as editor-in-chief. Professor Ikhajiagbe serves as an external examiner on a number of undergraduate and postgraduate examination panels for several academic institutions in the fields of bioeconomy, plant biology, plant microbial interactions, plant biotechnology, and sustainable agriculture. He serves as a resource person on several accreditation panels and has presented quite a number of invited papers and keynote addresses for reputable associations and bodies. He also acts as a resource person for some African centers of excellence on environment standards and biosafety. He serves on the appointment and promotion boards of a number of tertiary academic and research institutes as an external assessor. He's a member of the technical working group of the Africa Biogenome Project, Africa BP. Professor Ikhajiagbe loves to research and write, with review and editorship experience with numerous international publications. He has featured as a reviewer of a number of grant applications on behalf of grant awarding bodies. He's an editor with Frontiers in Plant Science, JMIRX Bio, Nigerian Journal of Life Sciences, as well as the African Journal of Health and Environment Safety, Journal of Underutilized Legumes. Apart from having to contribute through authorship and editorial roles in edited book projects with notable publishers, including Springer, CRC Press, Taylor and Francis, he volunteers as a reviewer for many double-blind peer-reviewed journals, hosted reputable publishers in Europe, America, and Africa. He was a member of the Asian Council of Science Editors in 2021. He's well published with over 265 research articles to his credit in peer-reviewed journals and platforms. Professor Ikhajiagbe is a member of numerous scientific and professional organizations, including the Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomic Network, and Biotechnology Society of Nigeria, Society for Underutilized Legumes, Genetic Society of Nigeria and of West Africa. He's a fellow of the Linnean Society of London, as well as the Institute of Policy Management and Development. He enjoys charitable work and volunteering in the community in addition to academics and research. He has also been a youth development coach for more than 15 years. He's married and blessed with children, and he speaks English, Bini, Esan, and Yoruba languages fluently. Thank you very much, sir, and you're highly welcome to this webinar number 13 of the AfriScience Network. The floor is open for you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Aminu. Am I very audible, please? I want to be.
Yes, yes, very clear. Thank you.
You may be hearing some bits of background noise. I had to run away from the house and the office. Students are still around.
Okay.
So I'm in the hall. I hope the place is a bit quiet.
Oh yeah.
I will need your permission to go off the video so that I can enhance the bandwidth in my system.
Okay.
Should I?
Yes.
Okay. Let me share the screen. How do I?
For the audio,
am I enabled to share my screen?
Yes, you can share your screen, sir.
Okay.
Damola, kindly could you please stop your video? Yes, the slides. Yes, the slides are visible now.
Okay. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, colleagues. I want to thank the handlers of AfriScience Network for the opportunity given me to share my experience in supervision, mentoring, and guiding students. So I decided to put this up, Supervisor-Supervisee Nexus, fostering healthy partnerships for STEM development. I'm sorry I had to do this. I thought it would be important to say why I feel that I am right to make this speech. On campus, in the last 15 years, I've been able to interact with over 100 bachelor's students, not only in my university, but other universities, where I also serve either as adjunct or in associateship capacities. I've also interacted with over 25 MSc students, 33 PhD students, and I've been able to get 8 international interns through IASTE to the lab. I am an organist, I am a music director, so I really I've got the opportunity to interact with a lot of persons. I've also been opportune to work with very reputable professors and industry professionals who I have also learned one or two with. So you will bear with me. The majority of what I'm going to be saying today will be a little bit riddled with parts of my experience. And I hope that during the comment session, the time for comments and idea sharing, I would also get to learn one or two from other persons who I'm very sure have got the capacity to for supervisorship and mentoring. Now, Socrates made this statement. He said, by all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you will become happy. But if you get a bad wife, you will become a philosopher. Invariably, Socrates was saying that life itself brings forth experience that one would learn from or learn by. Now, the great Nelson Mandela also said about education that it is the most powerful weapon that would enable us change the world. Now, it's important to say that no man is an island. As human beings, we usually would act from what we learn, either growing up or most importantly from the experiences we gather from our failures, from our successes, from the experiences we gather from interacting with other individuals. Now, I always say this wherever I go. God did not just give us 2 nostrils, 2 eyes, 2 legs, 2 hands, 2 kidneys, 2 lungs. God gave us that because most likely, it probably maybe letting us understand that we all need each other to survive. No one man is an island. Now, the Dalai Lama made a statement and said that without human community, one single human being cannot survive. If we go back to Socrates, in one of his sayings, I quote, true wisdom comes to each of us when we realize how little we can understand about life, ourselves, and the world around us. All these statements draw to mind the essence of guidance. It draws to mind the essence of understanding ourselves and understanding our environment. Again, remember we said no man is an island. And obviously the best way to get such understanding would be probably through collaboration or from even getting to understand from the examples and the experiences of those who have come before us. In this case, most likely supervisors. Now, Benjamin Franklin, the great Benjamin Franklin, he made the statement that tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. From this statement, it draws to mind that perhaps the best way to teach will be to involve the ones you teach. And very likely, this will be when you get the opportunity of interacting with a very good supervisor. But then, who is a supervisor? Anyone who has been saddled with the responsibility to instruct an individual, guide an individual, monitor the activities of an individual, well, specific activity, direct or observe that individual that have been entrusted to them for a specific purpose. Such a person is termed a supervisor. And that person that is being directed, guided, monitored, and observed for that particular purpose, is referred to as the supervisee. So in this presentation, we are going to look at, initially look at the supervisor, we'll look at the supervisee, we'll try to find out why the interaction is necessary and then how to foster it in order to enhance STEM development. Now, you must understand that for supervisors, they usually are given specific responsibilities to guide their supervisors. And as I presented here, the purposes could be for probably for research. Some purposes could be for report writing. Some of them probably for job supervision or specific tasks. It could be just as I've said before. I am a music director. As a supervisor, I am saddled with the responsibility of specifically guiding those in the choir and those that are saddled with responsibilities of providing music. But in this particular term, we will only not refer to report writing, job supervision, or those specific tasks, but here we'll just rely basically on STEM development. So let's take a quick look at STEM. STEM actually refers to, is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In recent times, it has now evolved from STEM to STEAM, STEAM, by the addition of arts, so that in that case, one is able to involve the multidisciplinary method that combines these subjects, the subjects of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, as a single learning paradigm. Now, the whole idea of STEM education strives to develop critical thinking. It's also engineered to involve problem solving, enhancing creativity abilities, and all that will be required to ensure that we have a sustainable world. Now, students who have been, run through the STEM education or STEAM concept of learning usually are expected to graduate with specific skill sets. Now, these skill sets come in two different ways. Either that the skill set will enhance their technicalities or will enhance their personal development. Now, in terms of technical skill set, such students are supposed to have the capability to solve problems and be able to indulge critical thinking. They are also able to be innovative and creative, and technical. In terms of technical skill set, they're also supposed to be of high productivity and also represent some bits of research capabilities. Now, for personal development, we expect that once we have been able to inculcate STEAM education in our day-to-day activity, or perhaps in the way we teach our students, in the way we relate with those that have been entrusted to us, we expect that personally they should be able to enhance their decision-making capacities. They should be able to become good managers. They should be able to stand out. Sometimes you see students who are not able to make presentations in public, students who fidget, who are scared to fail. I usually tell my students, I say, come, even me, that people say I'm an expert in certain areas. Even when I stand before people I perceive to be better than me, I also shake for the first few minutes. So by concatenating the concept of STEAM, I'm able to let them understand that, look, it's important that we fail and then, build up from those levels of failure and then get up. As I presented before, I said that no human, can ever survive alone. We are social beings. And I bet you no single child walked the very day they were born. It's not possible. If you had your child and that very day your child called you mama, papa, I'm sure your wife will run away from the labor room. Just imagine that Professor Aminu's wife delivers a baby boy, and just as the baby comes out of the mother, the baby starts shouting, "Oh, Aminu, my daddy! Aminu, my daddy!" I'm sure Aminu will run away, and even the wife might just run away from the from the clinic or from the hospital. So it just goes to show that capacities that we develop over time, we get to learn from experiences, and those experiences are better shared by individuals that have come before us, that have gone before us, that are better than us. Now, John Strachan said, to this end, the greatest asset of a school is the responsibility of the teacher. And then Alexander the Great said, indeed, I am indebted to my father for living, but I am indebted to my teacher for living well. So it means a lot of responsibilities fall upon the supervisor that we, in this case, tend to be our teacher, because they bring before us our various levels of, their various levels of experiences to bear so that we can also learn. But what should a supervisor look like? What Now that we know who a supervisor is, who the supervisee is, could we identify who a good supervisor? Because whether you like it or not, we have bad supervisors. I'm sure we have bad supervisees. I'm not going to talk about bad supervisees. So if I present the qualities of good supervisors, please, in your own head, I'm sure that when we say that somebody is good, you should be able to tell that when the person deviates from such good qualities, then they are turned bad. So, for example, one of the good qualities of a supervisor is that they should be able to demonstrate some bits of responsibility. You know, a lot of supervisors make mistakes. Let me give a good example. Maybe you are writing a research paper, and as a supervisor, you are the lead author. And then you want your probably 2 PhD students and 1 MSc students to join in the writing of the manuscript. Probably you were very busy and you didn't have the chance to take a final look at the manuscript, and then the manuscript is sent out for publication. And then it comes back with the report that the manuscript had been heavily plagiarized. I'm sure a lot of supervisors should be very angry instead of taking responsibility for the fact that as lead authors and as supervisors or as guides for such presentations, they will start blaming the students, probably blaming the PhD students. Oh, but why did you not take the step of correcting this thing? Why didn't you look at it? Are you not a PhD student? X, Y, Z. Well, the thing is that a good supervisor should be able to take responsibilities where there is the need. They must also be friendly. They should be able to approach those that they are working with. They should be able to work with those they are, supervising. And it's also important that they create a very good working environment. They should be well mannered. They should be able to. I'm sure they must bring experience. Valuable insights to what they intend to teach. Okay, just imagine that as a mathematics student, I am asked to be supervised by somebody who had F9 in mathematics throughout his days, somebody who had a top class in mathematics, and probably couldn't even graduate in 4 years for a 5 year, couldn't graduate in 6 years for a 4-year mathematics program. You can imagine that. So it means that whether we like it or not, a supervisor eventually not only brings in experience, but brings in valuable insight and expertise to those they guide. What does that mean? It means that as supervisors, we must every day find opportunities to enhance our capacity. Read newspapers. Some of you supervisors don't even take time to read newspapers. I'm sure a lot of you spend the whole time arguing on the internet. Some of you spend the whole time looking at TikTok. Some of you spend the whole time watching YouTube videos that are not, geared towards enhancing your personal capacity. So it's really important. It's important that supervisors are those who bring respect to the table. They say respect is earned. It will be important that the supervisor must also ensure that they respect the people they supervise. I've seen situations where supervisors who are not married, because they had the opportunity of learning earlier, got their PhDs at the age of 24, and at the age of 35, they're already full professors, and that supervisor is expected to supervise a 52-year-old student. Imagine that supervisor who is 34-year-old, a professor, will be looking down on the 52-year-old. That wouldn't be too much. That wouldn't be too nice, because whether you like it or not, in Africa, we have our own culture. So it will be important that the supervisor takes to note the cultural differences, the need to bring in respect, emotional intelligence, supportive relationship. He should be able to listen to his supervisees. He should be able to be grateful. Now, it's one thing that's really touchy here is that the best supervisors in the world are those who imbibe the culture of good mentorship, because mentors bring in direction. Mentors are able to train, they're able to support. When their team members fall, they're able to stand. Not supervisors who give project topics to their students, and those project topics will make that student spend 10,000 naira, and the supervisor does not think that there is need perhaps to also contribute like 2,000 or 3,000. That kind of supervisor will not go and publish the work, and his name will not be in front, as the lead. We should stop such. Supervisors should lead by example. They should be seen as ones who are supportive. They should be seen as ones who mentor to the extent that they're able to provide guide based on specific goals, and they're able to motivate those that they take on. Now, a lot about the supervisor. And then I have said before, if anybody does opposite of what we have just seen for the capacities that good supervisors should bring to the table, then we are sure that such persons are bad supervisors. But who are supervisees? We have said before that those that are supervised, those who are guided, those who, for specific reasons or for specific purposes, are led, they are the supervisees. They should be able to be approachable. They should be able to be attentive, because you can imagine that I'm teaching somebody and the person is distracted. I hate a situation where we are in the lab, we are discussing how to, how to divest or how to enhance specific research concepts, and a student is making a phone call without even excuse or permission, or a student is distracted and then sending or pinging or chatting. Attentiveness is missing. For such people, wrong. Supervisors should have ethical integrity. Ethical integrity. A lot of our supervisors are so lazy. You can imagine that I tell a student to write a short concept note, right? And very easy. The student just go to ChatGPT or site.ai, and he presents that note in less than 10 seconds. And he brings it to me, and it looks like the student has really done a great job. Throwing ethics to the wind. And unfortunately, a lot of us supervisors don't even take the time to look at the assignment that we give a lot of those that are under us. A lot of us don't even have the need. We don't even feel the need to subscribe to some anti-plagiarism software where we will begin to check some of the assignments we give people that have been entrusted to us, so that at the work goal, we meet these unethical behavior in the board. Supervisors are supposed to be trustworthy. They should also have some capabilities, some clinical skills, and then they should be able to adapt to changing environments. When I mean adapt, sometimes some supervisors may just get angry. Madam did not cook ogbolo soup when you wanted her to cook ogbolo soup. And then, unfortunately, rather than cooking ogbolo soup, she just comes with black soup that you hate in your life. And then because you just don't want to shout at madam, you come to school and then you're already feeling like somebody who woke up on the wrong side of the bed. A good supervisor should be able to tell the line, should be able to tell when their supervisors probably woke up on the wrong side of the bed and not be that judgmental. Now, why is the Supervisor-Supervisee Association very necessary? It is necessary because it is the only reason why academic achievements are at the top. Why? It strengthens academic achievement. I can tell you that more than 50% of the research achievements I've made came from advice from my undergraduate students, not even from the BSc students. I put them together and I say, let us critically evaluate. Sometimes in class, just like the class I had yesterday, I'll bring 2 of my published research work and I give that an assignment. I tell the undergraduate students, look at this work and criticize. Tell me why you think it is wrong. Tell me why you think it cannot fail in the current, and these undergraduate students are able to look at it critically, because whether you like it or not, these guys who are Gen Z generation are AI compliant. They are good with the computer. They are very sophisticated, and those of us who grew up probably late in the 80s and in the early 90s, and they say some of us are already rusted, even though we are still trying to grapple with Fortran, and those small old school computer language. So it will be important that we enhance our capacities together with those who supervise, because that is the only way to strengthen our academic achievement. That is the only way to also reduce chronic absenteeism. Look, when I mean chronic absenteeism, if you are not able to harness how you relate with those you supervise, you can be rest assured that a lot of your students will run. Now, I need some of you here to ask yourself the questions why those you supervise at BSc don't want to return back to you for MSc degree. That's a serious question you guys need to ask yourself by the time we finish this lecture. I have a lot of my BSc students saying, Guy, I'm coming back for MSc. And I'm saying, look, it's important that you don't just do BSc, MSc, and PhD in one university. They say, look, who gives a damn? I love the way you do your thing. I want to relate with you. I think that is what supervisors should be doing. They should be able to instill some bits of likeliness, in the supervisees, so that urge to return back to your lab will be there. So now you must understand too that whether you like it or not, the supervisor and the supervisees, they both work together. As long as the supervisor, if the supervisor, right, decides that he becomes very incompetent at the detriment of the supervisee drops, and vice versa. Now, this I copied this chart by Joseph Araya on the internet, and it's like the supervisor, the analogy of the supervisor with the supervisee, and yet he didn't know how to apportion tasks. You know, some supervisors just look at people and then they give assignments blankly. So just imagine that I am a supervisor and I'm supervising the monkey, I'm supervising the penguin, I'm supervising the elephant, and then I'm supervising the dog. And then I say, all of you do only one task. And I said, climb the tree. Obviously, you will agree with me that only the monkey will succeed in that task. Now, some supervisors will not have the ability to see that certain responsibilities are supposed to be given to their supervisors based on their individual capacity. So the question that we need to ask ourselves, how do you view your students? Do you group all of them together? Your project students. I think it will be important to look at your project students. Guy, in your undergraduate days, which particular course did you have problems with? If a student had problems with molecular biology and was very good with ecology, why would you want to give such a student a molecular biology research project? He's going to fail. Now, why then is the relationship between the supervisor and the supervisee failing? It is because the supervisor has not been able to understand the individuality, the specificity of each of the supervisors. Yesterday, I was giving a lecture on the general lecture on molecular biology, and I said, I was just referring to the carriers, and I said that sometimes some people make the mistake of thinking that the entire 23 chromosomes in one sex in an individual are the same. And I said, look, each chromosome is specifically different from the other chromosome. Chromosome 1 is not chromosome 2, and it's not chromosome 3. They have their specific responsibilities. They have kind of characteristics that they bear. In the same way, when I come to the lab, I don't see all my students as the same. I know the ones that are good at mathematics, so that they are the ones that are assigned the mathematical aspects of my work. I know the ones that are tatafo, the ones that can talk too much, the ones that can talk for Africa. So if I want to do any kind of study that will involve, creating focal group, these are the guys I put there so that I succeed. It would be wrong of me to put somebody who got F9 in mathematics in a class that will statistically analyze a data, whether I like it or not, and doomed to fail. So how do we now accept our responsibilities? First, we need to understand that there are three levels of three levels of attitudes or characteristics that supervisors present. Some supervisors are dominant because they are experts and they want their things to be done their own way. So if you are a dominant supervisor, then it means that the only person you will need are supervisees that need direction so that you can continue to dominate. If you are a dominant supervisor, then you cannot relate with a self-motivated supervisee, because a self-motivated supervisee is somebody that needs minimum interference. So you need to also understand your weaknesses, you need to understand your strengths, you need to understand the weaknesses and the strengths of your supervisees so that you can easily relate. Then imagine that you are an independent supervisor, that's one who believes that the students should be able to run their projects independently. It means for you cannot interact with the kind of supervisee that needs direction, because you will not be there to provide the direction you need. But you will now need the self-motivated supervisor. So look, my advice is that when you get project students, it will be important to first understand who you are. Are you a dominant supervisor? If you are a dominant supervisor, then the kind of students you should be looking for are students who need direction so that you can show your dominance. Because we can't change who we are, unfortunately. We cannot change who we are. We are who we are. If you are the kind of supervisor that interacts with them, obviously you are the best supervisor because you'll be able to interact with the self-motivated supervisee. You can interact with the ones that enjoy interaction and also interact easily with the ones that need direction. So my advice, please do not be an independent supervisor. That is the one that believes so much on the strength of the students and would not always want to look at what the students do. And these are the supervisors who get themselves in trouble, who publish works that have been stolen by their students. Do not also be the dominant supervisor, because you are a dominant supervisor, you will never have students who would want to grow. You will always end up chasing your students. You will be that person whose student would never come back to come and do would never come back to come and do a BSc. I mean, do MSc after their BSc. Now, that is for the supervisor. We also know that there are supervisors who come with issues. And these issues can be that the supervisees themselves are supervisors with problems. Or they are the supervisees themselves that are the problems. So the only way out is first identify what problems these supervisors bring. I don't think it is wrong that supervisors don't try to understand the personal lives of their supervisors. Because whether you like it or not, research also becomes affected by our personal relationship or the social kind of interactions we have with our supervisors. It's important that once in a while you guys can go out for a drink. It's important that once in a while you guys can just everybody in the lab, we are playing soccer or we are playing cards today, so that you can enhance interaction amongst your students. Why will a supervisor not call their students during Christmas and say Happy Christmas, and you are waiting for the students to be the one to wish you? And when the student does not wish you Happy Christmas or does not wish you Barika di Salah, you tell the student not to come greet you again. Why will it be that supervisees will be the only ones bringing gifts, Christmas gifts, Salah gifts to their supervisors, and not even the supervisor arranging some small tiny packages and give it to their students? It will be important that we enhance our capacities together. So I felt that a positive relationship will develop if me as a supervisor, I decide to ensure that I ask questions, and those questions I ask politely, particularly questions that relate to how the students fare. It will not be wrong of me if I ask the student, this task I've given you, do you think it's difficult? If the student says yes, and I'll say, why not go ahead with it? Even when you fail, I will be there for you. That is the kind of supervisors that we need. Now, it is important that we talk about one issue here, and the issue is the issue of bullying. A lot of us supervisors, for God's sake, I just wonder the kind of people we are. I know that sometimes these things may have been something that we picked up while we were young. Probably our parents were bullish. Probably we went to schools that we were bullied, and then we picked up such attributes. I would advise that you go for counseling. If you don't know where to go, check the internet. There are a lot of freelance counselors, for that do that. But there are different ways by which we bully our students. Some of them physical bullying. You will see supervisors who slap their students. I blame students who don't take supervisors to court. I usually challenge my students in the university and all those that I interact with that they should understand the Constitution and understand the laws that govern teacher-student relationship, so that they can hold every supervisor and hold every student to account. No supervisor should physically bully their students. No supervisor should verbally bully their students. You can imagine a supervisor telling their students that they are no do good. Imagine a supervisor telling their students that they are failures. Who gives you the right to call your students a failure? Some of you even emotionally bully your students. And the anointing is that some of you are even cyber bullies. Some of you are cyber bullies. How do you do that? Some of you will just write on your WhatsApp page, maybe in your faculty page, how stupid, in quote, some of your students are, and then you offend them. You just have to be careful, because you'll be very surprised that one of these days, some of these students will put you where you belong. So I'm challenging us, including myself, who are supervisors, to ensure that we deal with bullying the right way. Otherwise, we would instill in our students a lack of self-confidence, poor performance, and fear. And that is really not right. Because a lot of our students are so scared, they can't even come to your office, they can't even interact with you, and because of that, because they see you as a perfectionist, they use AI to write their report. And because some of us are so lazy, we don't want to even look at how the students do the work, we accept all of them, and eventually we get into trouble. Now, another thing is that some of us don't even care to look at the depressive issues amongst or within the students we supervise. Some of us, look, the country, the economy is so bad. Why on earth will you not think it is important that before you give project reports, project assignments to your students, why do you not think it will be important to sit down and ask your students whether their parents fare well, or ask your students whether they have even paid their school fees in the last 2 years? Some of us supervisors are so insensitive. Right now, I'm a little bit emotional on this, because I've seen a lot of students who suffer from the hands of these supervisors who are not sensitive to the economic situations of the country. And when they want to give project topics to their students, they will give project topics that nobody will even give their own children. And that, for me, is wickedness. We need to stop that. If you think there will be need for you to do a 1 million naira project, why on earth will you want to give a student that found it difficult to pay their school fees? Why don't you think it would be important to add like 20 students together so that they can do group financing? And why do you also not think that even as supervisors, you shouldn't also contribute money to that? And because of that, a lot of these students become heavily depressed. Some of them have gone to commit suicide. It will be on us if we don't. Now, what are your responsibilities for dealing with supervisors and supervisees who create problems in the laboratory? I've seen such ways. Sincerely, even in my lab, sometimes I come to the lab and it's a whole lot of mess. Students are quarreling, students are fighting. Sometimes that teamwork that I expect in my team, I no longer find it there. Sometimes I create WhatsApp group and I give specific information on specific tasks. You will see people will log on to that WhatsApp group 50. You give tasks, only 3 people will want to take it. There are 2 ways you can deal with such situations. First is that you prevent. So how do you intend to prevent the problem? Probably you can prevent by first alineating. As I said before, putting square pegs in square holes. If you want to create groups of researchers that are brilliant, I don't see any reason why you will not do any kind of aptitude test to test their capacity, to test their intellectual ability. If you are not able to prevent them, then obviously you must have capacities to intervene. Now, let's talk about confidence building. Now, apart from my own research students, what I do is the way I teach in class, I've adopted a method that ensures that the students, to a large extent, build some capacity. So I sometimes if you check on my LinkedIn channel, you see some videos of some of my undergraduate students I challenge. Like next week or in 2 weeks' time, my 400 level students will be doing a presentation on molecular biology. So I ask them to develop products that will be reminiscent of molecular biological interventions in solving economic problems. I want to test their capacities. I think we should stop this define molecular biology. Some people, the way they teach, set their exam question, the students will even cheat. You want to set an exam question, they will write define molecular biology, list XYZ, identify DVDs. I think we should now come to the stage where we begin to tap the brains of our students, create problems, and help them to solve them. And in this way, you enhance their capacity to become independent problem solvers. I not just do that in the lab, but I also try to do that in the, so these are some of other photographs I have where I just allow the students to develop any kind of research that they want to develop, and then I lead them to publish. Currently, I have 2 research write-ups that my students are going to publish. There are students who came from Unidel, University of Delta, and then some other students in University of Benin who came to work with me during the IT, and I challenged them to set up a small research, and then eventually they'll publish. Because we also had times when I taught them how to write papers, how to do some good report writing. They've done that. I'm also helping to clean up the work so that eventually they publish and then they become happy. Because I think we should now get away from the stage where people just do research. You let your students spend a whole lot of money doing research, and then you leave those research, and then they rot in the shelves of your libraries. Now, there's something very important here that we also need to know. You need to understand that when you mentor students or when you supervise, there are some people that will come with different ethnic, racial, and religious sentiments. Some of them have differences. I've had the opportunity of interacting well with Muslim students. I am from an Islamic family, even though currently I'm a Christian. Right? So I'm able to interact a lot well with the Islamic folks and the Christian folks. Now, even within the Christendom, we have different denominations, Catholics, Anglicans. You have those, with all due respect, some who are from the extreme side. We have them in all the religions. The question is, should I discriminate my supervisees because I am from a particular church or I'm from a particular Islamic sect and I don't like XYZ? No, I don't think that is. We are all human. I think that we should put the human face that God wants us to have. We are humans, we are brothers, we are first humans, we are first brothers before we became Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, you know. So I want to admonish that it will be important that we set aside, you know, our ethnic, our racial, our religious differences. Just keep them on one side and then just use human face so that we can be able to harness. After all, this is what Nigeria as a country needs. Nigeria needs the Fulani, Nigeria needs the Hausa, Nigeria needs the Isha, Nigeria needs the Igbos, Nigeria needs the Yoruba, Nigeria needs the Efik, Nigeria needs the Muslim, Nigeria needs the Christian. Nigeria also needs even the African traditional worshiper, because we are all one. We are all Nigeria, and if we work together, we'll have a greater nation. Now, this is the reason why I think this is correct, because look, somebody can insist that 3 plus 4 is 7. Another person in another area will say, no, it is 2 plus 5, that is 7. Somebody else will say, no, it's 14 divided by 2. Somebody else will say, no, it's 8 minus 1. Another person else will say, no, it's 21 divided by 3. Look, 7 is 7. We come from different areas. We have different opinions. Or you'll be surprised that the diversities in our opinions will likely point towards one good goal. And it will take a good supervisor to identify that. It will be important, therefore, that we begin to harness our responsibilities. And that was what drove me to seek opportunities to now interact with people from outside the globe. I have had experience with supervising a lot of Africans. I've even supervised a project. I've supervised a project in a Ghanaian university. I've also been able to interact with researchers in South Africa and all that. And I thought, wow, our students go outside the country, you know, for experiences. Is it possible that we can also bring the Oyinbo man here so that they will come to learn? After all, we are not also that bad. If you look at the good sides of the world, I can bet you will find a Nigerian. In fact, I think it is Bishop Hassan Kuka also, if I'm not mistaken, he made a statement and he said, somebody said that if you go to a place and you don't find a Nigerian there, then probably that place does not work well. So what does it tell? We as Nigerians are strong. We are good. We are good. Let us enhance our capacity. So I took the challenge and I used the International Association for Exchange of Students for Technical Experience, IAESTE, and I asked for interns. And by the grace of God, I was able to get, I think, between 7 or 8, about 8 interns at different times in the year to come to my lab through my university. My university was able to pay for their accommodation and all that. A lot of other professors in my university also use that IASTA platform to bring in Europeans. I learned a lot from them. They also got to learn from me. Now, it will be important that whether you like it or not, they say the tongue and the teeth are close, right? So there will always be conflict. Husbands and wives fight, probably not every day, but look, they also fight, just like the tongue and the teeth. So it doesn't matter how beautiful, how savvy, how great the supervisor-supervisee relationship is, whether you like it or not, there will be conflict. But the question is, how do we prevent them? We can prevent conflict by enhancing our communication, because what will obviously cause conflict will be lack of communication. It's important that we discuss our expectations at the beginning. So when there is a research project, do you set targets? Some of you just come and tell a student, your project is the effect of cassava on beans. That's all. You don't set expectations, you don't give a timeline, and then 2 weeks later you come and you're shouting at the students. And the question is, why on earth are you shouting at the students? Did you give any specific? Did you tell the students these are your targets? It will be important that in order to prevent conflicts that are due to lack of communication, it's important that you draw up agenda, you discuss expectations, you provide enough notice, for such dimensions. Now, there's also the problem of mismatched expectation. When I say mismatched expectation, you see, sometimes I know that the people within my team are people who are not good in mathematics, and yet I'm insisting that they must do a mathematics project, mathematics-based research. They will fail. They will just fail. I'll be sure they will fail. So the question is, what am I now bringing to the table? Now, there's also the issue of personality clash. Look, I have had the opportunity of working with a religious fanatic. I will not tell you which religion he belongs to, but really a fanatic. And the question was, there was always going to be issues with personality clash. Why? I am the person, I talk freely. I talk a lot. I like talking with my students. I like making them feel at home. Sometimes it's difficult to tell who is who. Sometimes we go to farm and I'm even the one walking and the students are standing. You know, how was I able to avoid it? I use this template. First was that I was able to first understand the reason for their fanaticism. I don't have any right to tell a person why they should not be fanatic. That was how they were raised, and so it should be. Just as I've said before, that the important that we harness our diversity and enhance them together so that we can move uh, forward. Very importantly, we must know ourselves. But the question is, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? In what areas do you actually need improvement as a supervisor, as a supervisee? What is your communication capacity? These are very important. What are your emotional stability checkpoints? Now, the question is, what if it fails? What if it fails? It will be important. What if everything else fails? What if this relationship fails? I'm not able to inculcate the benefits of STEM education because I have a power relationship with a supervisor. The first thing is, when it fails, you go to the supervisor. Tell him why you think the relationship is not working well. It is not good that supervisors have issues with their supervisors and they are scared to talk. Look, we must build our country. And building our country means that we must have the capacities to hold our leaders to account. Let us not be scared of making mistakes, for God's sake. We will make mistakes. And when we do make mistakes, we own up, we apologize, and we move on. Go to your supervisor. And when that fails, probably you bring your issues before the departmental committee to resolve the differences between you and your supervisor, or you supervisor and your supervisee. If it doesn't work, probably the faculty board will work. If it doesn't, importantly, you go with the graduate studies providers, supposing that was a postgraduate student. If nothing else works, I don't think it will be out of place if you also try to bring management because you want to savor the relationship. Now, David Moyer says, a great marriage is not when the perfect couple comes together. No. A great marriage is when an imperfect couple learns to enjoy their differences. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor Beckley Ikhajiagbe, for this insightful talk. And I really enjoyed it, and I find it very interesting because personally, I have experienced most of the things that you've said. Like when I was doing my postgraduate studies in the UK, I was taught immunology by a gay and LGBT person. And when I was in Liverpool, the professors that I work with, they're all atheists. In fact, they will come to me and say, "Hey, it's Friday. You go to your prayers." And I would like tell them, "Oh, now we have a change of time, so the prayer is starting next hour." Because of the time changes during winter and summer, etc. And in Netherlands, I also work with another professor who is a staunch Christian, and we're even going to his home for studies in religion, and where I also contribute my own Islamic knowledge, and we prepare a pizza and eat. And in Liverpool, where I was working with atheists, and that was a Matthew is among the top 10 veterinary epidemiologists in the UK, and he will be the one to go to the coffee room to prepare tea for me, and he will ask me, "Hey, you want your coffee white or black?" Well, I will say, "Yes, I'm African. I need a lot of milk and I need sugar." And he will go, and I felt so relaxed that who am I? This is a whole top scientist in the country with publications in Nature, and he was the one preparing tea for me. So I became so very free with him, and the discussion is like I'm discussing with my age mate without any fear, no any intimidation. And personally, that is what I'm also trying to apply as a lecturer here in Nigeria. And I realized that it is working. Students very free. Sometimes I support them financially to go and eat, and I support their transportation, and I want them to get to collect very good data for me. And so that really make them very confident, and they feel very free with me. Sometimes we even crack some jokes, and students are very hardworking. But yeah, as you rightly said, so that openness, honestly, that is what is lacking, unfortunately, among some of us. But I wish if everyone could adhere to your advice, or could be like you. Honestly, I think science will be interesting. Thank you very much. And yeah, so we have opened the floor for Q&A. Whoever wants to say anything. And I have a Barka Peter here. He sent a message. His statement was that, thank you so much, Professor, for that insightful presentation. I have a question, please. Which is better, giving students project topics, or asking them to get one?
That's a tricky that's a tricky question, though. That's a tricky question. It's two ways. Now, in the University of Benin, we run what we call a student-centered learning environment. That's what we adopt. Such that when you want to develop curriculum, you ensure that you bring students into it. You don't just put it on them. Although we know they are not experts, but it will also be important that when you develop expectations, you also try to look at the people you are also you are trying to guide, or you are trying to provide them information. So it's not as if it is the student that is supposed to bring the project topic. If you have a lab, then your lab eventually has a specific direction. So if students are sent to your lab, I don't think it would be nice that you move away from such expectations. Okay, let me give an example. Let's say your lab is you are a plant breeder, right? And then unfortunately you have somebody who has top spots with economics. Who said you cannot bring the students into the economics of plant breeding? So I think what you do first is you put the students down, and then look at their capacities, and then involve a couple of discussions. Then you might also ask them to write specific areas of interest in your research line. For example, you are a geneticist. Why not say, okay, in the line of genetics, develop something you think will be okay for you to research on. And then when they come, you ask them to make presentations, and then probably you will now align what their expectations are with what you think will be okay for them. It's not important that you always let them have their way, but it is important that you let them have their say, and then make them understand why you think it is important that their say will not be their way today. And then let them also understand that their say probably was important, and their say would also guide the way you want them to go. So it's important that you let the students talk about their research expectations, but you are the one leading, so that tomorrow you don't put it on them. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, and the same person also asked another question in a separate message. He said, and also, how best do a student handle a bullying supervisor?
Yeah, if your supervisor is a bully, it's important that you let the head of department know. Look, students should begin to understand their rights. Now, unfortunately, students don't know their rights. You have student handbooks. They don't even read the student handbooks. So what do course advisors really do? It's the responsibility of the course advisor, the responsibility of the dean of students to make sure students read the student handbook where they know their rights. No lecturer, no supervisor is supposed to be a bully. They should be sent out of the university. It's as simple as that. Students should be taught how to write petitions. By the time we get to a stage where petitions begin to fly left, right, and center, well, I mean good ones, so not the ones with people lost their hand. By the time lecturers begin to realize that students understand their rights and will continue to insist on their rights, I'm sure they will sit up. We need to hold our leaders to account. Otherwise, look, we can't build our country well. And it has to start in the university. Teach the students how to make their teachers and their supervisors sit up. And when such students grow up, they'll be able to tell their governors, their local government chairmen, and even their president to sit up. Nigeria will be better. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think this question from David Chukuma, I think it sounds like a personal experience. He said, Prof, what will you do in a scenario where your project student doesn't believe in anything called education and only participate in the research work reluctantly with a belief that education is a scam? This sounds like the student.
Yeah, but I think that question shouldn't come, because the question I should be asking that lecturer or supervisor, how did the student get there in the first place?
Yeah,
if the student did not believe in education, then it means that the system is messed up. Probably that student bribed their way through. The students definitely should not even be in final year, because if they never believe in education, how did they get to final year? That's the question you should be asking first.
That is true. I have two hands. Dr. I will recognize Yahya Abubakar. You can go ahead, please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Professor Beckley. This very nice presentation, very insightful. And I think some of us that have the opportunity of studying both in Nigeria and other parts of the world already see the big gap in terms of the mentor-mentee relationship. Mine is not a question, but just an addition regarding how to handle a supervisor that bullies his students. From my experience in other places, I think the doctoral school or the postgraduate school has a big role to play. In other places, there is what is called an ombudsman. So these people are like very confidential.
Yeah, kindly, could you speak louder?
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to add that in some places there is what is called the ombudsman. Like these people designated by the doctoral school or the postgraduate school that are very senior academics, highly accomplished. And these are people that students can easily approach and discuss the issues with their supervisors in a confidential manner. So I believe the postgraduate schools could imbibe this kind of system where they will have like very senior academics that can talk to the supervisors without any fear, and then can also the students can talk to them without any fear, and then you have someone in between the students and the supervisors, and any issues can be resolved in an amicable manner. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me also add this.
Okay.
I am also of this opinion. I've always said it. I am perhaps better today because growing in my 100 level, I was taught by my vice chancellor, Professor Dennis Agbola, was vice chancellor there in Abuzali University, then at State University. He was the vice chancellor. Even as the vice chancellor, he taught me MCB 101 as a vice chancellor, as professor. Another professor, Okecha, Steve Okecha, taught me mathematics. Another, Steve Okecha taught me chemistry. Another professor taught me maths, Ashipelohai. Throughout my 100 level days, I was taught by professors. But what's happening today? We leave the formative years of our students to graduate assistants who don't have no experience. We allow graduate assistants to teach 100 levels. People who are just leaving the secondary school to the university, who are supposed to be guided by people with experience. We allow GAs and ALs to teach 100 levels. I've always argued that I am better because I was mentored by people of experience. So I don't know whether it will be important that we probably look at this again and begin to advise our university system. Let's discourage the use of people in the lower ranks to teach formative years in the university. people with experience, associate professors and professors, to be allowed to teach 100 level courses. I know they will say the workload is too much, but I think we can also find a way around it, because we need these students to get the experience that they need to enable them move ahead from the 200 level through to final year. That's my opinion.
Thank you very much. I have a first Odia.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I first of all want to thank Professor Beckley for that very incisive discussion on supervisor-supervisee issue. Now, I have a problem. It's not really a problem per se, although I was on this meet issue, but my internet connectivity wasn't really that good. Now, Prof, when you have a student who is good in a specific area, let me use the area of botany, which you are even an expert in it. You have somebody who is good in mycology, however, he's being given to a supervisor who is in ecology. Now, how do you mentor that person to be good in his own area of, let me use the word, interest? Do you get it? So that he betters himself in that area, because that's where he's very good at. Because what I believe is this: what I tell my student is, which is your area? You tell me, oh, my area is ecology. Okay, I try to see if I can look for a way to fashion out maybe a topic, but I'm not an expert in ecology. So how do you do such issues? Is this supposed to be a collaborative issue with somebody in that area, or you just let the student do it in your own specific area? Because definitely when you are giving student project topics, you are going to be giving them in your own area of expertise. You get? But when somebody is not, let me say, vast or very good in that area, how do you now mentor that person to be a better person in whatever he is good at? Thank you.
I get the point. I think people should now understand that science is now multidisciplinary. In fact, these days, if you write a proposal to TED Fund or any grant body, and there are no facets of, this, you don't embellish this aspect of the multidisciplinary nature into, you don't bring that factor into your research. Nobody looks at it. You don't just bring a research that is core ecology, and you don't put the parts of human development. You don't add some other aspects that make it, universally acceptable. Now, who says that student who loves mycology cannot work in ecology? Remember, ecology is the, just layman's term, studies how plants, if you are looking at plant ecology, how plants relate with the environment. You see that student in mycology. What if you get that student to look at mycorrhizal interaction? And obviously, as an ecology teacher, I'm sure that supervisor may have taught mycorrhiza, how plants are able to use mycorrhiza to enhance moisture absorption or even nutrient absorption in areas where you have limiting, environments for the plants to. So I think that once that supervisor is able to inculcate the concept of multidisciplinariness in their research, they'll be able to look at other people's research and find where they fit in. The ecologist fits in molecular biology. The ecologist fits in plant protection. The ecologist fits in mycology, just as I've mentioned, mycorrhizal development. So I think first, we as supervisors, we need to broaden our horizon first, so that we can be able to direct our students in the right line. My opinion.
There is a question from Chika Nwanko. He said, he asked, please, how can I be a member of the International Exchange Technical Program you mentioned? I have been searching for a place for postdoc. Thank you.
Just go to the website, iaespe.org. iaespe.org. I'll type it on the comment section. iaespe.org. Just go there and read a lot about them.
Thank you.
And then later, if I can ask the National Secretary to provide further information. He's not currently in the country, but I could ask him to provide further information. I've just typed in the website.
Oh yeah, the website is here. So I hope Chika Nwanko, you have seen it. Yeah, it is here. I think this question, is it a question? Yeah, it is a question directed to me. I think a prof can also contribute in answering it for being more experienced. Conrad asked, he said, well, I mean, you had such experience. How well do we deploy such experiences? I have challenged several people who went through similar experiences, but return and says, this is Nigeria.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I think Conrad is correct.
yeah.
Yeah, Conrad is correct. I think the reason is because a lot of us don't want to get into trouble.
Yeah.
We've unfortunately built a system where when you decide to be the upright person, people just want to, run you over. People get scared. I will not be promoted. Somebody's going to sit on my promotion. Look, for the question is, at what point would we insist on the right thing? That's just the only thing. At what point would we insist on the right thing? I think that's the question I'm throwing back to Conrad.
For the people asking for presentation slides, yes, I'm going to share them on all the 7 platforms immediately after the.
Please remove the first slide when you share. Before you share, remove the first slide that talk about me, please. I don't want to.
Okay, fine. I'm going to remove that. And yeah, I have seen some people raising their hands, but I cannot locate them. I don't know. Is anybody having any question or contribution to this webinar talk? This webinar talk is titled the Supervisor-Supervisee Nexus, Fostering Healthy Partnerships for STEM Development. I think we still have 30 minutes to go. If anyone has anything to add.
I think Barca has just raised his hands.
Yeah. Okay, Barca, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again for answering my questions and for that wonderful presentation. I have 2 things I want to say. Number one, I want to request that the presentation slides be given to us if possible, Prof. Then secondly, I have an MSc student I've been having issues with. He has this character of being very arrogant. Anytime I want to guide him on how to go about his project, he either objects or he gives me attitude. For instance, there was a time we were talking about his aim, the aim of his work, and he was giving me 3 aims, and I said, no, you're supposed to have only 1 aim, then you have specific objectives as many as possible. He argued, and then this is just one among so many attitudes that he gives me. And sincerely, I started feeling terrible about the guy, and it's affecting.
I hope you know you can also have 3 aims.
Sir?
I hope you know you can actually have 3 aims, 3 aims, and then sub-objectives for each of the aims.
Okay.
It depends on the system where he learned it from. Yeah, in some American setting, you are allowed to have more than 1 aim. But
okay.
Probably you will not have an overriding aim. But sometimes you're also allowed to have sub-aims, just as you have sub-objectives. So it depends on, and further interacted. Just to let you know that the guy may be right. It depends on where he got his information from.
Okay, like sir, the work that we are doing, the work is actually supposed to have just an aim. In that particular case, I understand what you mean, Prof.
Yeah, okay.
So in this case, sir, the whole thing was affecting my relationship with him, and it was also affecting the way I supervise him. It is from one attitude to the other. In this kind of a situation, how do one handle such kind of a supervisee.
Okay, how do you see yourself? Are you the dominant type who wants their own way? Please turn off your mic. Turn off your mic.
Okay.
Are you the dominant type? No.
Barka, you have to mute yourself,
You have to
please.
mute
Yes, I'm
yourself
trying
so
to do
that I
that,
don't.
sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you the dominant type? No, you are still not muted, Barka.
You have not. Yeah.
I'm getting the
Okay.
feedback on my ears.
Yeah, he has muted.
Okay, you're
now.
muted. So the question first is, are you the dominant type that usually would not want contributions from your students? Are you the interactive type that usually would allow your students to talk about the issues, and then, just like we have in a democratic setting, it is what the general house says, do under your guidance, that goes? Or are you the independent type that usually believes that your students' superior opinion stays? So you need to first identify who you are. In fact, from all indication, I think that your student is the self-motivated type that actually does better under minimal supervision. I don't think it is out of place. If you identify yourself to be a dominant supervisor, you will not be able to work with that self-motivated supervisor. You look for another student. You can't change who. Look, first is that we cannot change who we are. If I'm a dominant supervisor, I probably will need counseling first to be able to change my capacities. Because remember, I said the best would just be the in-between. I should be able to interact, provide guidance, and then listen to my students. Because whether you like it or not, they may be inexperienced, but they also bring something to the table. So I will advise that you allow, okay, let me give an example. I also started first as a dominant, my PhD under Professor Anolefo in Unibank. I also started first as a self-motivated student, because then I was coming from a research institute. I've already published. I think then when I did my PhD, I had up to 35 or 40 research papers. Damn. So, the thing now, my head don't big. And then luckily for me, I had a supervisor who always had a way of making me feel I was doing my job. But you know that in actual fact, I was doing the job. I was, oh, prof, I think it should be like this. It was okay. Oh, that's okay. All right, do it this way, but also add XYZ. You see that XYZ? They will now tell me, you see that XYZ you are adding, ensure that this is your own way. You will do it in such a way that it will also bring the best in XYZ. I will do it because I want to prove that my own was good. I will also end up doing his own. And then at the end of the day, I will now realize that, oh, what he actually suggested was better than mine. But the good thing was that he never threw away my opinion. So I think that probably one way is that you can just, although you will not always let him have his way, but also learn to be patient with him. Probably is the self-motivated type. But be patient with him, know your strength, know your weakness, and then find the balance. If it doesn't work, it is not bad if you say you can't do it. So that you don't end up insulting the student and then you get into trouble. If you know you cannot handle a self-motivated student, Barca, pull out straight. Because if you insult that student and he writes a petition against you, you'll be in trouble. And you have yourself to blame for not handling your own emotional issues. That's my opinion.
Thank you very much. This discussion today is very interesting, and some of the issues are more or less psychological. I mean, like this question from Ozioma, we have, I think we have less than 10 minutes. So I'm going to lump this questions together. From Ozioma, it says, what will you do as a core researcher when the main supervisor insists on collecting money from the students? Thank you. And then this one from Stanley, he said, thank you, Prof, for this insightful lecture. Are there measures that can be made to make supervisors to see reasons or adopt this positive supervisor-supervisee relationship? So this should be the last.
Okay, so I'll take the last. I'll take the last one first.
Oh,
whether
okay.
it's
Yeah,
you want
yeah,
to
from
find how,
Stanley.
yeah, you want to find how he can improve the relationship he has probably with
Yeah.
probably a lucid or a toxic supervisor. As I
Yeah,
said before, the capacities we have as supervisors are either innate or induced, something we learn over time, or chronic, I mean, either chronic or acute. Acute because something probably triggered it. I probably would just shout at my students. It's not like if I don't shout. Oh. There are times I could just shout. Probably I just maybe woke up on the wrong side of the bed. But I'm sure that because of the kind of interaction I have with my students, they say, Prof, don't shout today. What happened? And then later one of them comes and say, it appears you're having a bad day. Oh, because you didn't talk to us properly. Oh, I'm very sorry. I had this bad day. And then sometimes I probably want to share to them. I also get their opinion and I get better. You see, it's important that you understand first your psychology. I think it's important that Nigerians should. I've tried to find out, do we have counselors? We don't. If you go to the US, you have a licensed counselor. So that when you have issues regarding your intellect, you are able to, go to sorry, the noise. These campaign people are tapping my horse. So
yeah, we are hearing you clearly. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So the issue is, I wish we have people that have been saddled with the responsibility of, counseling. We have marital issues, marriage issues. We have issues with, like for example, now we've had increase in suicide cases. But then the question is, who do we really need to guide us? So I wish that we have counselors in the country where we can refer these supervisors who have issues to. It will help them. Now, unfortunately, we don't. So the question is, how can I? I think that first and foremost, you need to understand that there is little or nothing you can do about changing your supervisor, because if your supervisor is the alpha and omega, right, in quotes, and then you are just that person who wants to learn, it will probably be difficult. I don't see any reason why you cannot say, sir, do I have permission to speak? Students should learn to use that word. Sir, do I have permission to speak freely? If your supervisor says speak freely, then you let him know, sir, you are a nice person. You usually will start by praising him. You are a nice person. I've learned a lot about you. You are somebody I cannot do without. But sir, there's just one part of you that scares me from, doing X, Y, Z. You'll be surprised. He will tell you which part. And then the conversation starts. So, Martin, I think the first thing you need to do, you need to first learn how to approach the difficult person. It's all there in YouTube. You can type, how can I approach a difficult person? Type it on YouTube. You will see I'm there. Anything there YouTube. You can even type, how can I cook a bowl of soup? You will see it in YouTube. So get help on how to approach difficult supervisors. You will see it there. And once you learn that skill, approach. Now the second one is on when the main supervisor is the corrupt person. There's obviously nothing you can do than report. If you are bold enough, report to the head of department. That's the only thing I can say. If you are bold enough, report to the head of department. If you don't, and you just decide you just want to look the other way, pull out of the research. And I'm sure that the HOD will find out why you are pulling out of the research. Then you can chip it in. It's unfortunate that a lot of us colleagues have decided to become corrupt. I don't know how we got there, but I sincerely believe that we will get better. I sincerely believe we will. I'm very hopeful we will get better. So my only advice: report. If you don't want to report, I will not advise you to close your eyes, because what you just said is criminal, and we should not condone it. No other advice other than that.
Thank you very much, sir. I think in addition to that, there is a book. I think if you can search for that title on the Amazon, I cannot exactly remember the title of the book, but I think it is something like How to Deal with a Difficult Supervisor. And I think that book was based on personal experience by the author himself. So I think that book should be helpful. he should try searching it either on the Google or on the Amazon. It is either a textbook or a very good paper which was written based on personal experience. It is a small book. I have seen that I think about 13 years ago. So thank you very much.
Let me say something. I think Professor Conrad is the answer has been up. But before I speak, let me just quickly say this. Let me briefly say this.
That is true. His hand is here.
Yeah. Let me briefly say, please.
Okay.
Two-Face, two Baba. He said nobody only pass. Put that at the back of your mind. Nobody only pass. You. I'm sure we heard of that song. Nobody is righteous. Nobody can claim that they did not make mistakes. We have all made mistakes. I have made very grave mistakes. This is what I tell my students, and I'm telling all of us, and I'm encouraging us. Guys, let us not be scared of making mistakes. If we make mistakes, we will own up to our mistakes. We will apologize for our mistakes. But we will move on. We cannot stay back. We cannot sit down and refuse to do anything because we've made mistakes. Otherwise, we will not be successful. Remember Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola came up first as a mistake, but today is the world's greatest brand. So I challenge you, continue to work hard, make mistakes, own up to the mistake. Say I'm sorry, and be sincere with the sorry, and move on. Please keep that advice.
Thank you, sir. Professor Conrad, can you go ahead, please?
Thank you, everyone. And I wish we had 200 or more persons or so on this call. I mean, we need to get a way to popularize these our meetings. They are good, and we need them.
Okay.
Professor Beckley, hands up, great one there. And even though I'm busy, yes, one cannot ask for changes and then shy away from it. I mean, the other time I sent you a personal chat telling you you are doing well because you are doing well. And that's what we don't encourage. We tend to copy evil things, and we need a quorum. We always need a committee to do good things, but we don't need a committee to do bad things. We just learn bad things. Now we're so corrupt, we learn bad things. But when you say anything good, people want the committee to be formed. Every time I check, I may not post one good thing on that thing on several platforms. Ironically, I'm on several of those platforms too. And I just keep wondering, okay, why does he have the time and all that to do so? But it's good.
It's a teamwork, Professor. Yeah. We are serving admins, so we are talking to ourselves.
But if you're not working, it will not work. Nothing will work except somebody's working it. And that's what we must understand. That. You know, we're superstitious people. We think prayers will work everything. If you don't work, whether you're going to the mosque or whatever you're going, prayers don't work. It's when people walk and pray. That's when things work. So that's one on the other side. I also want to say that the things we're talking about are the core of what happens in the university or the academia space. It is not things are not working for it because these are the core things. Now, if I am a supervisee and I get railroaded by my supervisor, the question is, what kind of person am I going to turn out to be? And unfortunately for us, we do not buy we rather buy the devil's advocate instead of the angel's advocate. Instead of saying that if this bad happened to me, I will not let it happen to another person. But what we rather say is that since this happened to me, then it will happen to somebody else. So you find somebody took 7 years to graduate from his PhD. He keeps people for 14 years, 20 years. I know somebody that graduated PhD 22 years.
Oh.
Yeah. And then you wonder how that be. So first thing first, quickly, we must learn to challenge the status quo. My first chat today was on age. But let me disagree with you. We should begin to put age behind where they belong. You and I have traveled around the world. People don't throw age at the first thing they come in. Age is a killer. It throws spanner into the very engine of the vehicle. We keep throwing age everywhere. That I'm senior to you, you are senior to me, does not mean that I know better than you. And if a young person walks in and he knows better, why don't you just succumb and know? We need to challenge this age thing. It's killing us in everything. Everything you're doing, is one person that knows nothing, because he's old, automatically he becomes infallible. It's not. It has never been. My own supervisor, I taught him an area of the work that he's doing today. He didn't know that area, but he was open enough to know that because I should not be a retrogressive version of him, I should be a progressive version of him.
Yeah.
We don't know that. We in Nigeria don't want our students to be better than us. We want a retrogressive version. I tell my students that don't tell me, yes, prof. I want you to come in here and challenge me. Let's have a mental buhaha. Let's have a mental fight. And then you leave and you're better off. But no, we don't want that. It's for us that have never read a single book in the last 7 years, wants to challenge somebody who is right there reading the very next paper that just came out. My undergraduate seminar went to present a paper. Went to present a paper, and my colleagues are challenging the place where I come from. Somebody has said that thing was announced in CNN yesterday, but because I received update, I had seen that new opening about 3 months earlier. So that the old people around didn't know that it exists and start challenging the thing. It took another very young GA to say that yesterday he was watching CNN and I heard CNN announce that thing. Now you have that kind of scenario. So we must challenge status quo. I'm not saying anybody go and insult anybody, but this age thing, I'm telling you, Beckley and every one of us, this age thing is a killer. It stifles, it dominates, it just holds people down. People call me, they are just walking on eggshells because somebody's older. That's what I was saying. I mean, we all went out, we saw things. Your supervisor, global rated one, is making tea for you. When last did you make tea for somebody? A younger.
I mean,
when last did you make tea for somebody? Have you ever made tea for an undergraduate student of yours? My final year class telling me now we are going to have a tea time, because they come to me, they have tea time. They go to my fridge, they take tea and they drink. They have tea time. We sit down and discuss. But somebody made tea for me when I went out. I should make tea for somebody. But when I come back, I say this is Nigeria, and then I continue with the demonic and retrogressive way of being say and call that supervisionship. That is demonic practice. It's not supervision.
That is true.
Yeah. So I challenge you, Aminu, make tea for somebody. Make tea, buy Coke, make tea for somebody. Say, wait, I'll make the tea. You want coffee? I'll make it. You wash the cup, you make tea. You're teaching something. You're teaching humility. You're teaching progressiveness. You're teaching engagement that is progressive and productive. The other thing is that we must learn to fail. Science is a place for failure. Science is not practical. It's a conceptual space. It's a space for failing. I called one of my supervisors once. I sat her down and I said, do you have a phone? He said, I said, put it on record. I have failed as a supervisor. Can you tell me how to supervise you? I sat her down because I give an instruction, she won't do. I give an instruction, she won't do. I ask question, then I didn't say she's a bastard. I sat her down and said, okay, I as a supervisor have failed. Can you please tell me how to succeed with you? And then she told me a few things. I said, okay, let's go that way. And I went that way and she came up with something. We have to learn. That's who we are. It's a very retrogressive way to engage things. And then lastly, I want to say, let everybody get knowledgeable. We're in the 21st century. Get knowledgeable. If you're not on 2, 3, 4 AI platform right now, you are here, you're not serious. You're not serious.
Thank you very much for saying that, because
I am engaging with
I challenge a lot of my colleagues to also get on AI platforms, and they are saying it's wrong.
I am working with at least 3 AI platforms that are in their experimental stage. I was engaging one recently for 48 hours. I was one bringing the issues. I didn't know those issues. I interrogated Premium ChatGPT. I don't use the Premium ChatGPT, and I asked a question. He gave me an answer. I said, no, that's not the answer I'm looking for. You know what I said to it? Search for journals that are lowly rated. You know what he said to me? I didn't know you would prefer such journals. He said, oh, I didn't know you prefer such journals, because I know that what I wanted was about Africa. And ChatGPT was designed to propagate a Western projection, a high impact paper thing. And I said, no, look for low rated journals for me. The next thing he brought out, you'll be amazed, was what it was about. And that tells you, if you don't know, you go in there, you just be saying, Judge, what is ChatGPT? It's nothing more. I still outthink the ChatGPT. It's just gather things for me faster than I would have done myself.
Yeah,
if you're not on 2, 3, 4, 5 AI platform right now, you're not serious.
That is
How
true.
can you be supervising somebody that is holding a piece of gadget and as you are talking, they are checking what you are talking? And then you sit down there and say, and you give some note that your supervisor gave you years ago. That's what they are copying. What kind of crap nonsense is that one? Let's open up. Let's be knowledgeable. As you are telling somebody to go and read how to handle a difficult supervisor, all of us will go read how to handle a difficult student. It's a two-way thing. They will take over from us.
Good.
Yes, difficult supervisor, difficult student, difficult parent. Have you met a student who every time I tell my student, he will say, my parents said, I say, get a parent, let's talk. After I finished talking, the parent had to lay off because I realized that I was not a supervisor, the parent was a supervisor. So we must be very, very proactive. We must understand dynamics of the space. We must get into it. Our going abroad is not to show we have gone abroad on Facebook and buy a watch that you can buy in Nigeria. Our going abroad is to learn and come back and dispose it. The politicians are doing that evil. We lecturers are also doing it. They go abroad, they see good place working. They come to Nigeria, they cannot fix a single 10-meter road. But we also go there. You go to conferences, you go to this thing, you take pictures, you post it everywhere. I went to Chicago, I went to Ikhajiagbe. But when you come back, there's nothing Chicago inside you, there's nothing Ikhajiagbe inside you. You came back, you are worse than you left. When it says this is Nigeria. So Nigeria is a place for retrogressive engagement? No. So thank you for having me. And Prof, thank you for this one. We'll do more. Let's continue to do more. Let's invite other people to join. This is where the real discussion is. It's not to sit down and be posting the things you didn't read on WhatsApp and co. This is what we need to do. We need to change the narrative. It is so bad. We need to change the narrative and we need to do more. Thank you, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Professor Conrad. I think today's webinar is like 2-in-1 speakers. This is really interesting. Thank you very much, Professor Conrad. Before I give a vote of thanks and final statements, I don't know, Professor Beckley, do you have something to add to Professor Conrad?
I think he spoke my mind. Nothing more to add, so that I don't doubt the information. So just pin it to your thoughts.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As we conclude today's insightful webinar, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Beckley Ikhajiagbe for his exceptional presentation on the Supervisor-Supervisee Nexus, fostering healthy partnerships for STEM development. This is our 13th webinar of the AfriScience Network. Sir, your expertise and thought-provoking insights have truly enriched our understanding and sparked valuable discussions on this platform today. We truly appreciate your time and effort in sharing your knowledge with us. Your dedication to advancing STEM partnerships is truly inspiring and will undoubtedly leave a lasting impact on our members and on our community at large. Thank you to all our participants for your engagement and contributions. Your presence and active participation are what make this webinar successful. And thanks to all the admins of the AfriScience Network for all the discussion we are having almost on daily basis, seeing that things, to ensure that things works well in the operation of the AfriScience Network. Thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Probably by the end of this month, we may have another webinar, number 14, because of the demand. So instead of having it a monthly webinar, I think it could be twice in a month. We have another demand for a webinar which is coming up by the end of this month, last week of this month. So we look forward to seeing you at that event. And until then, stay curious and keep fostering those healthy partnerships in our respective fields. Best regards, the AfriScience Network team. Thank you very much, all. Thank you.